Well, good afternoon. We'll just do a little bit of Outhaus keeping. My name's David Maskell. I'm one of the Outhaus management team. Sessions are going to be recorded this afternoon. Welcome to those who turned up on time, and we'd love to see you guys again after a couple of weeks of a break. We'll just, if you guys indicate where you're from in the chat, we'll keep the discussions on topic today. Feel free to add comments and links to the group chat as we normally do here, and please offer your opinion and ask questions. We've again got together an amazing topic today, and for the next 3 weeks, it's all about having fun in Geartober. I've decided we're going to Geartober, make it really sort of a catchphrase. Hashtag Geartober. And this week we have exclusively One Planet coming in to talk to us. Ben from One Planet coming back after talking to us about probably 20 weeks ago, I think, about COVID-related issues and outdoor gear. So Ben's going to discuss this afternoon One Planet's journey into backpack design, local manufacturing, and the evolution of outdoor education backpacks. And I'll just stop sharing that. I'll just get, and I'd just like to acknowledge the Outhaus oligarchs, the management team here. Pete Smith's away in the field this week, once again working. Busy man, in high demand, lucky guy. Increasingly so, we're also in the field and busy, but I'd just like to acknowledge the presence this afternoon of Cherie Mullen, Henry Friend, Ellen Barker in the virtual cloud. She's obviously working, and obviously Pete is not here today, but really appreciate Henry and Cherie's support to get Geartober up and running, because I think it's a fairly important topic to talk about gear and how it relates to outdoor ed, and definitely to talk with industry leading manufacturers that are Australian based, so we can support our own economy and go from there. I'm going to throw to Henry really quickly, and we'll have an acknowledgement of country, and then I'll introduce Ben.
Thanks, David. In the spirit of reconciliation inside the Outhaus, would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community. And we'd like to pay our respects to their elders past and present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples today.
Excellent. Thank you, Henry. And I'm going to throw to Ben without any more waffling from me. Ben's from marketing manager. Is that right, Ben?
Yeah. So thanks for having me on. I work in marketing down here in Melbourne at One Planet, and been invited to come today and talk to you about designing backpacks and some of the things that go into making a quality backpack, especially in relation to outdoor education. So put together a little presentation, and I'd like to share with you. So. All right. As David said, this is my second time coming into the Outhaus. The first was, it seems like quite a long time ago now, but it was in relation to COVID-19 and the cleaning of outdoor education equipment. COVID-19 has certainly been the dominant news item since the bushfires, and here in Melbourne, it's had a pretty heavy-handed effect on our daily life and the wider outdoor education industry, especially compared to the rest of Australia. Last week was actually our first full week of operations in nearly 2 months. Due to the banning of textile manufacturing during stage 4 lockdowns, our factory was closed. But we're pretty excited to be cutting, sewing and making again, having spent the first half of this year on design and development. Today, I hope to share with you what could be considered a breath of fresh air and delve into rucksack design, local manufacturing and the evolution of outdoor education products. So we are a company founded on passion. We produce world-class gear, and we specialize in rucksacks, sleeping bags, tents, and apparel. We develop products specifically for outdoor education and professional use, and we happily provide support and gear servicing. We've been manufacturing for more than 40 years, and all gear is designed and developed in our Melbourne factory, where most of the products are also made. Our philosophy is simple. It is make it good, make it work, and make it last. Today, I'm excited to share a journey into rucksack design. I could share the specifications, the weights, and the capacity of each and every rucksack in our range, i.e. the what, but I would like to share more broadly and talk about the how and the why. Why do we design in the way that we do? Why do we choose to be dedicated to local manufacturing? And how do we design for outdoor education and professional use? To answer these questions, I think it's important to start at the beginning and take a walk or a bushwalk through some of the significant moments in our history. Three things combined to create One Planet. There was the need for technical outdoor equipment designed for Antipodean conditions, the skills and attitude needed to give it a go, and the willingness to work hard and play hard. The adventurous souls who started it all are pretty much just like you and me. They're keen to get out there, they know the value of time spent in the outdoors, and they're pretty keen to use good gear whilst being conscious and caring of the environment. Since day one, there's always been a focus on making great gear for everyone, not just chasing the highest peak, but following our philosophy. The One Planet you know today was formed in 1997 when three independent outdoor companies, they were J&H, AI King, and Adventure Designs, brought their knowledge and machinery together into one company. J&H were experts in rainwear, apparel, and sleeping bags, and they started in 1979. AI King brought a knowledge of rucksacks and a care for outdoor education, and Adventure Designs brought an understanding of tents and shelters. The melding of ideas, of knowledge, experience in design, and a unique understanding of manufacturing techniques has helped to develop One Planet into an Australian industry leader. Today, Andrew King is our managing director. He started AI King with a specialist understanding of rucksack design and a love for local manufacturing. So after that merge in 1997, the new millennium was pretty exciting. It was a period where dreams and ideas combined into great gear for local conditions. The range expanded and new gear could be spotted across independent outdoor stores in Australia and New Zealand. In 2004, November, an electrical fire resulted in a massive blaze that actually destroyed the One Planet factory. The building, the machinery, designs and patterns were all burnt. All that remained was 23 dedicated and talented staff, and the destruction of the factory was a real crossroad for the owners. At this time, most local brands had moved their production offshore and there was intense pressure to do the same. But instead, the decision was made to rebuild the factory in Melbourne and maintain the company's dedication to local manufacturing. In December, the contract for the current factory in Sunshine, where I'm coming to you from today, was signed. So there were some positives from that fire, which in hindsight at least, one of these was the opportunity to significantly decrease the company's environmental impact. We became more energy and resource efficient, repurchasing new and low energy machinery and improving our lighting and layout. It was also the perfect time to improve designs. We updated the exact fit harness so it could fit a wider range of people and crafted new editions of each rucksack, including the industry classics Macmillan and Strzelecki. In 2005, we began carbon offsetting all electricity used within our factory. This was a first for the outdoor industry and something we proudly continue to do today. We also offset all staff travel, that's for work and to and from work, and have a comprehensive recycling program, always looking for ways to reduce our electricity and resource usage overall. Over the next 15 years, we continued to build gear in the way that we love to do it, slowly but steadily growing our range. In 2018, we expanded our factory in Sunshine by taking on the adjacent building, effectively doubling the size. And in the 2019-2020 summer, we took some time to refresh our factory, repainting the floor and reorganizing the layout, creating production efficiencies and improving workstations. We also took delivery of a new textile cutting machine, which might seem like a small thing, but it's a big investment in local manufacturing, ensuring our Melbourne factory is prepared for the next few decades of production. This cutter not only allows us to cut more complex patterns, but it creates greater efficiencies, saving time, money, and materials. So now you know a short history of One Planet, where we've come from, and some of the moments that have shaped our business. Like any journey, there's been some serious undulations and challenging times, but also moments of celebration. We began when passionate outdoor types started to design gear that performed in Australia's unique environments, and today we continue our commitments to making the best equipment the right way. We produce functional and technical outdoor gear whilst meeting our social and environmental responsibilities. We believe there aren't any shortcuts to creating long-lasting quality. We are Australian-owned and dedicated to local manufacturing, And we believe that well-designed and well-produced gear goes hand in hand with time spent well in and the longevity of outdoor spaces. And I would believe that that's something we all value. So 2020 so far, how's it been? Much like in 2004, we've refreshed our range. The majority of it have had improvements in both manufacturing capabilities and designs. We've created exciting updates to nearly every model of rucksack, from 15 litres to 110 litres, and also improvements in tents and sleeping bags and more. We've just released our new retail catalogue and our new outdoor education catalogue with this new generation of equipment, and our factory is back open producing it. Outdoor education, as you know, is one of the best ways to get a hands-on understanding of how good time spent in the outdoors can be, and it can turn into a lifelong passion. We believe that outdoor ed provides a vital and invaluable part of a wider education. And we've been making gear to support this experience for decades. Over time, our range has grown to offer a selection of tents, rucksacks, rainwear, and apparel, and more. It's all specifically designed for young people and outdoor educators. Each product shares a commonality. They're all designed and responsibly made with passion, attention to detail, and quality. Our first outdoor education packs were made in the early 1990s, and like today's models, they were made in Melbourne. The primary design criteria back then was color-coded by size for simple fitting, minimal straps that don't get caught on bushes, easy cleaning in the gear shed, and backed by servicing. Since our first iteration, we've been refining and improving the designs. The criteria for good design hasn't changed, but the packs have vastly improved. The HR model is an evolution of that early design. It features a fixed harness and 4 sizes, ideal for short course programs. The High Plains uses our exact fit harness and is favored for long course programs. The latest 2020 models are approximately 10% lighter across all sizes. And these designs are a reflection of industry feedback, industry collaboration, and technological improvements. I believe that our outdoor ed packs are some of the simplest in terms of features, yet in that simplicity, there is elegance. And I'd like to share with you many of the design decisions, features, and techniques that go into creating what we believe to be a quality bag. Importantly, these features also exist on our leaders bags and backcountry rucksacks as well. So our outdoor ed packs are color-coded by size. They sit roughly around the 70-litre mark, with only 6 litres difference between the extra small and the extra long. They're available in waterlock canvas or Cordura options, loaded with features to make life easier for students and leaders, both in the gear shed and the field. And they're always supported by our comprehensive servicing and repairs program. We use waterlock canvas and Cordura nylon as our primary fabrics, both in our outdoor education fleet and our professional and retail range of rucksacks. Our waterlock canvas is Australian made and is itself a remarkable piece of technology. This tightly woven fabric is made from a thread with polyester core wrapped in cotton. The polyester core delivers strength while the cotton wrap expands when moist, providing superior water resistance. It's also impregnated with rot inhibitors and waterproofing agents. The Cordura nylon has high abrasion and tear resistance, and it's chosen for its weight per square meter. It's triple pass coated with polyurethane for water resistance, and we favor the 750 denier version of this fabric. Generally, the Cordura nylon is popular due to its weight, yet the canvas is popular for its longevity. You would know YKK as the zip brand to write home about, but what you may never think about is the style and the gauge or the size of the zipper. We always choose a larger zipper, often number 10s on our rucksacks. They're much tougher, and especially in professional or fleet use are ideal. On larger zips, each individual tooth has more integrity and won't bend out of shape. And because the gaps between the teeth are bigger, dirt and sand will fall through, reducing wear. The sliders are always designed to fail first, before the zipper, which allows for a quick and easy replacement. And you'll find we're fans of well-designed storm shields as well. We also use non-crack buckles. What are those? Many of our side release buckles are specifically molded to be non-crack. They'll bend over breaking. This just goes that little bit further towards a better, longer lasting product and peace of mind in the field. Again, we always have spares on hand, and we can help to supply in individual or fleet quantities. Which leads us to webbing. It's often overlooked. We select high-grade webbing that lasts with UV resistance. On load carrying areas, we also use non-slip webbing. You can spot it here in the gray. It won't absorb water or creep under tension and is one less thing to worry about on the trail. We always use a heat blade to cut and seal the webbing in our Melbourne factory. There's no frayed ends. You'll notice on our new bags, we favor the 20mm webbing and always double stitch it into the seams, allowing you to pick the rucksack up from any point. Water bottle pockets. They're something that you need and we obsess over them. You'll find ours positioned neatly near the lower lumbar, so you naturally carry the weight in a healthy position. But more than that, they're tapered for ease of entry and exit, and they feature drainage holes for torrential days. And we love front pockets that work. Seriously, a decent front pocket that keeps water out is ideal for young people. And in fact, you'll find it's ideal for most outdoors people, especially in the rough eucalypt of the mainland or muddy Tasmania. And we work really hard to craft rounded edges into the pockets. It makes it easier to clean, find small items, and if you have to, wash out any melted chocolate or spilled sunscreen. Some of the most important features of One Planet rucksacks are hidden but essential. We use a double base, so 2 layers of material to ensure durability over time. Generally, it's a 750 denier cordura outer for its high abrasion and a waterlock canvas inner for its incredible water resistance. We use reinforced side pockets, and like all good things in the outdoors, they are dual purpose, working as the side pocket, yet offering protection from bumps, scrapes, and mud. And we choose light colorways on the inside of the pack, so sunlight or torchlight is reflected, and you can spot items in every nook and cranny. Our frames are custom channeled. They're designed to hold shape and structure as an incredibly important part of the bag and harness. They're crafted from hardened aluminium and hand bent. You might ask why they're hand bent. When the hardening occurs, the frames are essentially cooked in a large oven. And like all good baking, it's sometimes too hot or too cold on the edges, which can result in an uneven cook. About 1 in 1,000 frames have this failure point. And if a machine was to shape the frame, you'd never find that one uncooked or unhardened frame until it crumples on your back. We hand bend every frame to make sure that the harness is supportive and comfortable. Norman, our frame man and finisher, has been bending frames for the last 20 years in our Melbourne factory, which is an incredible achievement. It also means most of the bags in existence made by One Planet have had their frames bent and been put together by Norman. And this feature's got to be a favorite of mine. We know how hot it gets out there, wherever you are in your state or territory. All our bushwalking rucksacks are designed to work with your sun hat. Firstly, we design them to sit neatly on your back, not tower over you like alpinism packs. And this also helps when dodging low branches in Tassie. When tensioning the internal compression strap in collaboration with our stiffened lid cavity, it creates a space for your broad brim hat. And pioneering canvas binding. I promise you'll all go home and check out the binding on your rucksack after this. There's a fascinating story behind this one. The binding is the capping between 2 layers of fabric on a rucksack's interior. It joins them neatly, and we double stitch all of our canvas binding. So that's 2 needles running side by side. We love waterlock canvas for its inherent waterproofing, but in the early days, the seams of canvas bags were always a weak point for both strength and waterproofness. Canvas binding had not yet been invented. Back in the mid-90s, we pioneered new technology to double stitch 4-fold canvas binding tape, giving One Planet rucksacks world-leading waterproofing and massively increased durability. Our brilliant mechanic Ralph, invented a new sewing machine. He combined several elements of machines into one and incorporated hand-built jigs and guides and folders. This machinery has the ability to stitch over difficult corner points where there can be up to 15 layers of canvas. We still use these machines every day in our factory on every canvas bag. And even today, you'll find that this technology is world-leading and uncommon. In this story, there's a true dedication to detail. We wanted to make a canvas-bound canvas bag, but to do so, we had to step back and invent the technology that was required to craft a better product. The Tarkine is our classic leaders pack. It uses waterlock canvas and the exact fit harness and a One Planet attachment system. The One Planet attachment system is also a remarkable little piece of design. We started with the main lid compression webbing and added in a tri-glide and additional handle buckle. It now allows you to attach a wide range of technical equipment, skis, poles, snow probes, shovels, or if you're like me, fishing rods and cricket bats, whilst retaining full access to your rucksack body and the front pocket. When not in use, this system sits neat and flush. There's no dangling or catching. For me personally, I think this is the essence of good design. The same webbing strap on every bag now has multiple uses. It's the kind of functionality that's born from experience walking in our local conditions, and it's been refined over decades to have this elegant and simple functionality. All of these design features create the experiences that you know and enjoy on the trail. But I would say perhaps the most memorable and probably the most important part of any rucksack is the harness. It's the foundation of every rucksack. A fitted and reliable harness supports healthy load carrying, and we've dedicated years to designing and refining our exact fit harness. We know that bushwalkers are a diverse group in gender, in height, shape and size, and their age. With the exact fit, we've developed a harness system that carries loads comfortably, no matter who you are. It's the only large rucksack to be endorsed by the Chiropractic Association of Australasia, and it's been used by professional and recreational walkers for over 20 years. The exact fit harness as a system has 3 backlinks, a short, a medium, and a long, and 5 sizes in shoulder strap and hip belt. We can mix and match any of these harness components to find the right size for you, and then we can adjust that to find your fit. It's available in 4 standard fits for men and women on every rucksack. At the end of the day, your body is the most important piece of equipment, so it really makes sense to look after it. When you own a piece of One Planet gear, you have a piece of technical and highly functional outdoor equipment that's really made well. Our latest catalog, which is edition 37, has a range of awesome new and updated equipment, and our factory has just reopened. The new gear is currently in production and will be available soon. You'll have to view our online catalog for all the specs, but the ones I'm most excited about are the BFG, Big Friendly Giant. It's 100 liters with a harness that's specifically designed to carry heavy loads. We also have made a 60-liter Tussock and 55-liter Extrovert, 2 awesome practical lightweight bags with an exact fit mid harness, and they weigh in at 1.5 and 1.3 kilos respectively. And there's also been an update to our Traverse. It's a simple classic 40-liter bag or a day bag that just lasts forever. You should also keep an eye out for updates to our Gundi series, our sleeping bags, and our boots. And there we have it. I hope you have a greater insight into the why of design and the values and decisions that go into making One Planet gear. And if you have any questions or are interested in the One Planet Pro Deal, please get in touch with us via email, sales@oneplanet.com.au, and you can message it straight to me. That's Ben.
Thanks very much, Ben. I'll just throw it out. It's a pretty small group today. Who's got questions? I've got a few, but I'll let the room jump in.
Please.
And maybe we could get Andrew as well if he's happy to answer some questions.
Ben, I might start with one. You were talking a lot about how One Planet takes a lot of kind of insight from outdoorities and people in the field using products. Just really interested, do you guys like go out and ask people for that feedback each year, or is that kind of just organic that comes through, or how does that work? Like, do you find that a lot of outdoorities just come back to you with suggestions or things? Just really interested, I guess.
No, that's an excellent question. I'd say it works in 2 ways. So there's the direct approach, which is, as you say, we go and ask people, and that usually comes in, like say we're designing a new bag, and then we want to test it out and see what people like. We've got a few friendly faces that we would ring up across all the states and maybe send them out a bag or ask them what they might think of the design and talk to them about it and get that really direct feedback at that stage. And probably the other arguably more important stage is when we've designed a bag. Through our servicing and repairs program, we get these bags back after 5 years or 10 years, or when we go out to school fittings and we help support the school by fitting their students. We can do repairs on their bags at the same time. And then we get that really like intricate level of detail as to like where things might be slowly wearing and where they can be, improved on those very small levels. They're probably the 2 ways that we would get that feedback.
That's really interesting. Thanks.
Yeah. Does anyone else have a few other questions or things that they might be interested in?
And who's in charge of naming these products? Your BFG and your Extrovert. They're pretty good titles for some of your gear.
Yeah, that's usually when we're sitting around in the office or in the factory when everyone's walking out the door on the way home. It's, what do you think of this? And hold that up and say the name and see what the reaction is. And if it's good, then it goes in.
I really like that you were naming specific people within the company that, like Norman, I think it was, that kind of has a touch on every bag, and it sounds like it's a really small community. Is it a really small kind of company where everybody knows everybody?
I'd say that we know each other like relatively well. I mean, we work in different areas, you know, I'm more in the office, Andrew would be in the design room, or there's a lot of guys out in the factory working on different things and some in repairs. But before coronavirus, we always had lunch together at the same time every day, you know, and we'd often discuss, and it means everybody, regardless of their position in the business, can see what other people are working on and see how their day's going. And that gives like really good feedback between, you know, cutting, sewing, designing, or selling the gear, or visiting schools. You know, everybody gets to chat to everybody, which, yeah, I reckon that's one of the best things. It means you really know people, you know what's going on, and it is kind of quite a nice place to work from that regard.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was curious a little bit about you guys, since you're Australian manufacturing and everything. Has there been much pressure for you guys to go outside of Australia for manufacturing, or do you guys find it's just more important to be a locally sourced company?
I think over the years it's kind of changed. So sometimes there's more public pressure for that. Sometimes there's less public pressure. I think one of the key things about our canvas rucksacks is they're actually very difficult to manufacture. So the system that we've got set up here to manufacture them allows us to do it, but it means you couldn't take the design and put it in another factory somewhere overseas and ask them to make the same thing in the same way. They wouldn't be able to do it. We've built machinery from the ground up, and there's an intricate style of ways to make things happen. So there is and there isn't, but there's also the level like you probably couldn't do a lot of those things. And to be fair, we don't actually make everything here. The stuff we do make in Melbourne is our rainwear. We also make our rucksacks, all of our duffel bags and things like that. But our tents, they're not made here. So some of the more like lighter weight fabrics, so the manufacturing for those is overseas. It's a good question.
Ben, can you explain the difference? I know you covered it in the presentation between, as an outdooretter, if I was looking for a new pack, waterlock or Condura nylon, which is, because it gets very technical very quickly.
It gets very technical very quickly. Look, the short of it is your waterlock canvas bag is going to last you a really long time, and your Condura bag is going to last you, 3, 4, 5 years, and then it's going to start wearing out. So the major difference, I would say, is in the way that the fabrics are waterproofed. So Condura nylon is coated with a polyurethane to make it waterproof. And that's what eventually wears out over time. You might have seen that, like you see the white peeling coming off the inside of fabrics and things like that. Especially common, up in Queensland where you get a lot more hydrolysis. Those fabrics don't last as well up there. Both have relatively high abrasion resistance. But the canvas, the way that it's waterproof, it's inherent within the build of the fabric. There's no coating that's needed to make it that way. So the day 1, it's waterproof, and day 20 or year 20, it's still waterproof in the same way. Is
the waterlock bag heavier then as a result than the Condura?
The material, waterlock canvas, is roughly like 390 GSM. So generally, it is a heavier weight fabric compared to the Condura nylon. One of the technical aspects of that is Condura nylon is a style of fabric, and I guess it comes in different weights. So we predominantly use the 750 denier version. We also use a 330 denier, which is sort of a lighter yarn on some of our lightweight bags, but you can go up to 1,000 or more, and then, you get different weights there. So. I'd say that schools, they mostly use on the HR model. The other advantage of Cordura is that it's generally more like cost effective to produce. And so those bags generally come in a little bit lighter, which is why they're probably so common across, you know, not just outdoor education industry, but the wider outdoor industry at large as well.
Do you have a market base overseas, or is it predominantly Australian clients?
We sell mostly to Australia and New Zealand. So we do a fair bit of work over in New Zealand as well. We have a splattering of other customers around the world. One thing we do produce is a lot of tents for the Antarctic division. And those will go out not only to Australia and New Zealand, but a lot of other Antarctic or polar research divisions from around the world. So that's one of the bigger, more technical and industrial clients we have around the world, but mostly for retail and outdoor education, it's Australia and New Zealand.
Is the Antarctic division getting a specific style of tent that's unique, that is designed for their needs?
Exactly. Yep.
Okay.
So we make a polar pyramid and we make a polar dome. I believe they're both on the website. You can have a look. But they are basically really, really spec'd up hiking tents that can go and sit down there in those heavy winds and extreme conditions for, you know, months on end. Generally, they're used not on the base themselves, but as parts of like research if they're going off base into other areas.
We probably don't see many of those tents up here in Queensland too often, Ben, I'd imagine.
No, I don't think so, unless it's in transit.
I do have to ask, mate, who came up with the design improvement for the broad-brimmed hat? That's a great
cracker,
thing.
isn't it?
Yeah.
It's been around since before I was here, but I believe that was one of Andrew's early designs. It's been there a long time.
Well done, Andrew.
Yeah, I back that. Does it fit like just a bucket hat kind of situation, or if I was wearing it a Kubra, would it fit that?
There's a little bit of like how full is your bag in that, but generally it'll fit a pretty decent broad brimmed hat.
Cool, thanks, Ben.
No worries.
Can I ask, maybe it's a question for Andrew as well, how have you guys had to adapt COVID-19 wise in the return? Obviously you've been in lockdown in Victoria and under the state government regulations, but now that you're back, what's changing for you guys as far as a business or organisationally to get back to operation again?
Do you want me to answer that one, Ben?
Yeah, go for it, please.
I hope you guys can hear. My microphone's not working brilliantly well, but can you hear me?
Yep.
Good. David, I think we've probably been affected similar to the way the outdoor industry, outdoor education industry has been affected in the fact that we haven't been able to operate up until last week. So we had about 2 months where the factory was closed. But in that time, we've been able to do a little bit of, we've been doing some product development where we've been able to distance ourselves, one person per factory. And Ben and the crew have been doing a lot of work in marketing. So all our web page has been updated, our catalogues have been rehashed, and I think just about every word's been has been finessed. So I suppose, David, we've banked some of that that spare time, and I think Ben's got the next year of Facebook social media posts already pre-written, but we're hoping that we'll get back to a reasonable degree of normality from now on, particularly from the manufacturing side of things. Just maybe of interest, we have different facets to the business. Some of them industrial, some of them what we refer to as retail. And what we've seen in different states, for instance, in Tasmania, business as usual for us. In New Zealand, it's booming. Things have, most of our dealers over there, a lot more people are going bushwalking and camping. So I feel once we're allowed out, and I know you guys in the other states have had that privilege, and that a lot of people haven't been able to travel overseas, a lot more people are turning inwards and travelling into national parks, and thank goodness they're buying a few more products that we make. So other than that, David, we've obviously have to do the COVID safe plan where we spray our machines and use hand sanitizer and distancing. Our lunch breaks and tea breaks are halved, so we can only have one person per table. All those classic things that I'm sure everybody's familiar with.
All right. Yeah, thanks very much. Again, another question, unless there's another one from the group. What's on the horizon? So we figured we'd run Geartober because it's a good lead-in time for program developers, program managers, heads of school to be looking at their budget for 2021. Yeah. Obviously, we've heard about the range of new stuff that you guys have coming on this year, but is there a new technology on the horizon in the next 12 months, 2 years that you'd like to share with the little unique group we have here today, and then everybody else when we post it on the socials?
Look, we're constantly trying to finesse things or develop or improve. We don't necessarily throw a product idea out the window and start from scratch. If you look at some of our designs over the years, the design has evolved, or designs have evolved. And but to get back to your question, some of the things that we're looking at for 2021, we've been working on our rainwear. One of the interesting things with rainwear over the last sort of 5 to 10 years, some of the technology has basically improved when it comes to breathability, but it also that tends to lead to greater susceptibility to contamination. And when I say contamination, it's like body sweat, sunscreen, any sort of dirt affects the waterproofing of a lot of modern day rain jackets. So it's absolutely critical that they're kept clean. But in some of your environments, that's harder. That can be quite difficult. And even some of the work environments we have down in Tasmania, where people are working 2 weeks on, they don't get the opportunity to clean their rainwear. So we've been working on with some lamination experts and trying to come up with the next lot of rainwear that is just the technology is just using slightly thicker membranes, and we're focusing more on durability than breathability. And some of the breathability, some of the jackets at the moment are incredibly breathable. It's amazing technology, but they just don't last very long. And in some situations, we've found with track workers in Tassie that they don't get 2 weeks before they start to leak. So, and these are expensive garments. So that's one of the things that we've been working towards, improving the longevity of rainwear, and that will start to come through next year. And the other one, I think you mentioned, we've talked, Ben's mentioned about the lightweight gear, and that's something that we've been also focused on. Reducing the weight, we refer to our lightweight gear as practical lightweight. It's not ultralight. We're trying to make something that's still going to be durable and will last a reasonable amount of time, and not going to the ridiculous ends of making something that's so light that it will only last a few weeks in the bush. So.
Thanks very much.
I was just going to say, David, that's an interesting point. As far as the rain protection versus the breathability, particularly for Queensland, where we get our fairly steamy torrential downpours, and you're still got to do those kilometres. It's a completely different product to what you'd be using, I guess. What David might be using down in the alpine areas or down in Tassie, it's just a completely different kettle of fish, isn't it?
Yep. I've got a question.
Go for it.
There goes. We're starting to do pack rafting a little bit up here. Yeah, we bought a couple of years ago. I bought a fleet of pack rafts, and we're now looking at carrying pack rafts into various rivers. Hiking a little bit and go down. And one of the things we found is that no one seems to make a a pack that you can attach a pack raft or something to. Back in the day, 30, 40 years ago, you could get those A-frame things, with firewood and a whole range of things on. And I know it's not a big market, but is that sort of niche market stuff the sorts of things that you guys might be able to take advantage of? Yeah.
G'day, David. We have in the past made backpacks with sides in them, where we just made the front and the back, and you could put a jerry can in there, or cardboard boxes and things like that for hauling things around. But we were making them for the Antarctic division, but there's probably no reason why you couldn't put a pack raft in it. So. Yeah,
I mean, the big pack that you've designed might, just a bit of an alteration like that might work. As I said, it's possibly not a big market, but you're seeing a lot more people carrying their boats out to these little boats out to all sorts of weird places now.
Yeah.
Cool. Do we have any other questions for Ben or Andrew? No.
Do you have any retail retail places, or do you sell specifically to certain companies that sell them? Does that make sense? Certain retailers.
We do. So we have in Melbourne here on Little Bourke Street, which is the outdoor strip of Melbourne. We operate our own store in there. And then we choose to stock independent outdoor retailers around Australia. So there's generally one in each capital city, and we go with the independent rather than the big box retailer. So you also find some in some country stores as well. And there's some in New Zealand as well. We've got a lot of independent outdoor retailers over there that stock the gear. So, and of course the online store, which is always becoming more popular as people can't move. Well, in Melbourne, you're stuck within your 5K bubble, and it's very hard to visit stores. So that becomes more and more valuable over time, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
How do you guys scale if you get a very large order sort of overnight, and suddenly the school or the outdoor centre needs 150 packs? Can you scale quickly to that, or is it more of a long-term planning thing?
How fast can Norman work?
bending packs.
Look, generally, one of the things we try to do is buy a majority of raw materials and then create stock to have within our factory so that people can order it and we can sell it off the shelf. But because we're purchasing mostly raw materials and manufacturing here, it's very easy for us just to decide to make this backpack in this size, in this color, rather than, oh, we've only got 30 of those on the shelf. We could do that for a specific customer. Generally, production's pretty well. We know what we're doing for a couple of months. But so we would discuss with the customer, when do they really need it? Is there any changes they wanted to make, or customization, embroidery or whatever on their backpack, and then see if we can work it out with them. So, yeah, look, good question.
Yeah, excellent. I can just imagine that. Yeah, again, people are watching this, and budgets for 2021. It's like, well, we need 50 more packs. When can we get them? Yeah, first week in February, we're out canoeing someplace. Yeah, so excellent.
Look, can I add to that, Ben?
Jump in.
David, we can produce, depending on the rucksack, but if you're talking about an order for 150 packs, we basically have a bunch of packs running through the factory all the time. There'll be different models, and but we could probably get together 150 packs if they weren't in stock. And we hold a fair bit of stock of what we call our school outdoor education packs. We probably would have that sort of quantity in stock, or we might have to top them up if they weren't the right size. But yeah, generally a couple of weeks. A combination of stock that we had on hand. If it was something that needed to be made with an embroidery logo on it, or a special feature, we'd probably need at this time of year, probably four to 6 weeks. So.
Great. Yeah, excellent. Does anyone else have any other further questions?
Are your packs all unisex design?
It's a good question. We basically designed the harness. So we have the two major harnesses we use are the Exact Fit harness, which is sort of on the larger capacity bushwalking rucksacks. And we also use an Exact Fit mid harness, which is a smaller, lighter, more compact harness. Both of those have, so the Exact Fit, which is what we would recommend, would have 3 backlinks. And so that's pretty much set depending on what your backlink is. And then we do 5 shoulder straps and five sizes of shoulder strap and 5 sizes of hip belt. And we can mix and match all of those components. So that will get your height, your back length, you know, your hips and your shoulders. And we put all the right componentry on there to make sure that it fits your body and is your right size. And then after that, we'll go through the fitting process. So what that sort of boils down to is every bushwalking rucksack has 4 standard fits for men and 4 standard fits for women, but 50 plus fits once you start mixing and matching everything to make it right. So you can really fit quite a wide range of people. In outdoor education, that's great because if you've got young skinny teenagers, you can fit them, and you can go all the way through to like a fully grown leader within the same harness. So we sort of do it by harness rather than by bag. That's a good question.
Is there, do you guys do a difference in padding for men versus women?
And mostly it's in the shaping that goes of the hip belt. And so the padding that we use or the foams, we generally, all of our shoulder straps and hip belts would have like a 3-layer foam in there. So 3 different densities, a harder closed cell foam that actually provides the support and transfers the weight from the bag onto your body. And then there's the middle foam, which is like a softer density that gives you that kind of a plush feeling. And then there's also the sort of air mesh on the front, which gives you, a bit of breathability and allows air to actually flow through the harness so it doesn't get so sticky. But then it's really mostly about the 3 different sizes of the hip belt or the shoulder strap, or the 5 sizes of hip belt and shoulder strap, and finding the right one that would work for you. And that then combines with the way that you would fit it to make sure that it contours and fits around your body properly.
Groovy. Thank you.
No worries.
Great questions there, Madison. Ben, what's the policy on repairs or warranty under PACS, and maybe specifically addressing it for if you were a school buyer? So you're buying for a school program or an outdoor ed centre.
Yep, great question. The best thing about it is that we make them all here in Melbourne. So obviously we have all of the parts, all of the components, and basically just ring us up and see what it is that you need. Maybe we have customers which don't really repair their gear very often. It might be 5 or 10 years between visits, and then they come back and they're in quite a state. We have other customers where we help to support them for their own in-house servicing, so we can provide training or materials to help them do it there. But basically, we have a warranty, of course, on all of our rucksacks, but generally you'll find that things break not so much because of a failure in manufacturing, but because a rodent might eat through the fabric, or a zipper might fall apart a little bit after 15 years of use, or maybe a student sits on the bag and that bends the frames because they're jumping up and down on them, or all those kinds of things. And so I think the most important thing is you can just ring up and we'll say, well, what's the issue? So you want to send them down now? You want to send them down in the holidays? We can fix it between, the end of term and the start of term and book it in over the year, so you can have we're here to sort of support the fleet ongoing. And we expect that everybody would hopefully ring up and let us know what it is, so we can, find the solution that works for each person or each customer.
I hope Norman doesn't take it personally when PACS come back, but we rebent by our students.
No, definitely not. Only if they smell bad.
I might wrap it up unless there's any other questions there. Ben, do you have a link to where we can find, it's probably on the website, I'm certain, but where we can find your resellers in other states outside of Melbourne? Because yep, that'd be great if you could drop that. If you could drop that in the chat, I think probably that'd be helpful for quite a few people. Does anyone else have any other questions?
Yeah, just in regards to the servicing, you said you provide training for in-house servicing. Is that something you guys run online as a group thing that you can attend, or do you just do it by a case-by-case basis, just on the phone with an individual?
Yeah, look, we haven't run it online before. Mostly it's usually in person, and it sort of depends what it is. You know, if you've got a canvas bag and you want to use a canvas binding, and you know, there's really only 2 machines in the world that can do that, and they're sitting here. So we would recommend, you know, in that case, that if you want a full panel replacement, the bag should come back to us. But if there's smaller, you know, details, some things we can teach and can help you to do. So look, if there's something you're interested in, I would say definitely get in touch. You can email me or just the office at sales@OnePlanet. And whatever it is you need, we'll try to find that solution, you know, because everyone's pretty unique in the support that they have.
Sounds like Madison's creating some work for you there, Ben. You know, you've got to now create some online training platforms. Yeah. Yeah, it's great. I think it's an amazing story, and thank you very much for going into so much detail about the history of the company. The reference of AI King, that was an early pack that I had early in my career. I think they made packs back in the day, and I wasn't even aware that they were part of I thought they just went out of business. So
AI King would stand for Andrew Ian King, who's right here with us today.
Of course.
And that's how it happens.
But it's an amazing story, and I'm certain the government loves the fact that you're a local manufacturer in Melbourne, and you know, because we're all going back to manufacturing within Australia because we can't leave the country, it seems. Thank you very much for posting that stuff in the link there, Ben. I'm going to throw over to maybe Cherie or whoever's got the quote of the day, and we'll wrap it up. Henry, he's still here, Henry?
Henry has the quote of the day, and then I'll talk about who's coming next week.
Okay, sounds great.
So the quote of the day is from a person who I probably can't pronounce the name properly, but Real Kestenbaum, who writes in the Ultralight Backpacker, The Complete Guide to Simplicity and Comfort on the Trail. The old school of thought would have you believe that you'd be a fool to take on nature without arming yourself with every conceivable measure of safety and comfort under the sun. But that isn't what being in nature is all about. Rather, it's about feeling free, unbounded, and shedding the distractions and barriers of our civilization, not bringing them with us. Which is a nice segue into backpacks and making sure that you don't bring too much in your backpack.
Probably one of the hardest things. Yeah, thanks, Ben. As a former OEG employee, I've had lots of experience with One Planet gear, so it's really interesting to hear kind of the background story to it and everything. So I really appreciate that as well. So next week, guys, we will be hearing from Sea to Summit, who will be talking about sleep systems. So if you guys are interested in that, please tell everyone about it and join us next week. At our now various time frame, which we'll try to make very clear coming up so that everybody knows.
Yeah, thanks very much. And I'll stop the recording here. And thanks very much, Andrew and Ben, for being in the Outhaus today. I really appreciate it. And everybody else who worked out how to join us again after a couple of weeks away. We really appreciate it. So we'll stop the recording at that point.